How's it going, Corillo? My name's Alex and welcome to a brand new video here at Blue Cooper Motors. As you saw in the title, in today's video, I'm gonna be going into my experience with the cost of ownership of the Lexus Is250. You might be asking, why do I emphasize this is my experience with the cost of ownership? It is because I'm taking into account that we all don't live on the same place, and some things here in Puerto Rico can be cheaper / expensiver, or maybe you guys don't have it in your country or something else. So I just let you know this is my experience with the Lexus Is250. I keep saying every time I clean my car, the sky is like this. Why? But continuing the topic of the video, the first thing you want to take into account when you're thinking of the cost of ownership, it's gonna be if you're paying the car or if the car is already paid. This obviously had to be the first thing on the list because it's basically what you pay to own it. So it is supposed to be the most important one. And aside of being the most important one, it is also supposed to be the biggest part of the cost of ownership. You're gonna have to take into account when you bought it, where you bought it, and also depending on countries, the taxes and everything else change. Right now, I have seen multiples of these cars, and anything between 8,000 for an older pre-facelift model, 2006, 2007s go for that low with high mileage, obviously. And also newer ones can go everything up to like $18,000 to $20,000. Mine was actually in quite great condition, and it had quite low mileage. It was 60-something thousand miles, so I think I got a great deal on it. Another thing that is gonna affect on the price of the car is gonna be if it's a convertible or a manual car, because those are rare examples and thus make it more expensive. And when I say more expensive, I don't mean a couple $1,000, like $2,000 or $3,000 higher. No, I have seen convertibles of this gen in around $30,000, which is kind of ISF territory. So also, I traded my Mini Cooper S for this, so I kind of got a better deal just because of that. And also, it's just like a down payment on it, basically. I just realized I forgot to tell you, hey, I'm in a parking lot, because I got tired of filming in my house because every video is at my house and it gets very monotonous. So here I am. Moving on to the second part of the cost of ownership, it's gonna be the insurance. And just as I said that, I realized that I had been wrong on number one, saying it was the most expensive part. Depending in your driving history, where you live, what color is your car for some reason, and many other factors, your insurance can go up or it can go down. And if you are a bad driver, possibly you're gonna pay more insurance than you pay for the car. I don't want to say which one I have, just for the fact that I don't know if they have it in your country, and also I don't want to give free publicity to anyone. So yeah. Then we have the third expense, which is gonna be fuel. First of all, I have a mix on the roads I drive. I drive in highway, I drive in city, and I also drive rural or back roads, how you want to call it. First of all, my weekly consumption is of around 50 to 60 bucks, which is a full tank. And I do this every week at the start of the week mostly. And from time to time, I get this that I have to do it 2 times a week because I use the car more. I drive around 400 to 450 miles every week. Like that is my drive plan that I have to do every week. Sometimes it can be more, sometimes it can be less, but that is kind of an average of what I drive every week. Let me film inside of the car to show you what is my mile per gallon average. As you can see here, my average miles per gallon is of 28.1, and as I said before, I use 50 to 60 bucks every week, and I don't need to refuel on the whole week with that full tank of gas unless I use the car more than I should, or if I've used the ECT power mode too much. with that being said, and to give you guys a better idea of what you might be spending every month on gas, I would say with a big margin of error that I spend around $300 to $400 a month. I'm saying such a high number, and it's not because gas here is as expensive as in California or something like that, but because sometimes my dad drives the car too. If I use the ECT power mode too much, I might spend more, so I want to give you guys a kind of more real estimate of what I could expend on a month on gas. Moving from the gas to maintenance, because even though this internally might be a Toyota, it does need to be maintained regularly. Also, it is not a Tesla dishwasher, which you can charge and not maintain only the tires. You actually need to do proper maintenance on this thing. Actually, the reason I decided to make this video was because I saw some guy on Reddit that was arguing that he did not like taking his car to the dealership because he felt like he was getting scammed. Then you read that every time he took his car for an oil change, the dealer charged him for pads, brake fluid, and a lot of other stuff you shouldn't be changing every time you get an oil change. And as I said before in one of my videos, is that the only thing the car gets done at the dealership is the oil changes. As I said before, the reasoning behind this is that the cost of doing it at the dealership is fairly similar to me buying the oil and the filter and doing it at home. So I'd rather get it done in there. It saves me time. It is done by professionals. They also do a full checkup of the car and tell me if anything else is wrong. And also they give the car a car wash. So for a couple extra bucks, it is completely worth it. But continuing with the maintenance at the dealership, I think everything else is kind of on the more pricier side. And consider that this car is one of the cheapest luxury sports sedans you can get. Compared to the Mercedes and the BMW. So some of them I do myself. I have a couple reasons why I like doing those maintenance stuff myself, and it's because obviously it is cheaper. Second of all, I get to do content of it, like what I did with the F-Sport filter, and that also was an upgrade that you cannot get at the dealership, or maybe you can, but I rather install it myself and get the content out of it. And finally, I feel like you get a connection with your car every time you add a mod or do something yourself that you cannot get by taking it to a dealership or a mechanic. In the case of what I just mentioned, the F-Sport filter, I could have paid 70 bucks at the dealership to get a trashy paper filter installed. And sometimes it is better to get an upgrade than rather pay the dealership to do it and get the same thing you had. Then a way you can save money on car parts is that many auto parts stores have a lifetime guarantee on some parts, some consumables such as brake pads, lights, a lot of other stuff, and you just pay once with the lifetime guarantee, and every time you need a change, in this case brake pads, you just go to a parts store, get the new parts, and it's basically free every time after you pay the initial fee. Then we have the thing that BMW owners hear more than maintenance, and it is repairs. I haven't had to fix anything on the Lexus yet, but after a literature review on the internet, I found that these cars have an annual repair cost of 500 bucks or something around there. So it is way dumber cheaper than a BMW or a Mercedes annual repair fee. Like, that's a trimester worth of BMW repair fees. And as I said at the start of the video, it is going to rain. I washed my car on the dead 12 p.m. sun. Like the hottest it was on the day. For this to happen. Continuing with the topic of the video once again, you guys have to remember that this car is partly Toyota, so some parts of other cars in Toyota lineup can fit this one. For example, the differential in this car is very similar to that in the first gen FRSs and 86s. So if one day I decided I wanted a limited differential, I could just find an automatic FRS differential and put it in my car, and it will be plug and play with no problems, no modifications. Well guys, once again, I finished something in this channel talking about repairs. Before finishing the video, I want to clarify once again that this is my experience and my expenses. I say this once again because I know that in other countries things might be cheaper, might be more expensive, might be different, might be harder to get, might be harder to find. There's a lot of variables, but the thing is that the cost of ownership you're gonna have is not gonna be the same as I have. But I just wanted to give you a kind of an idea of what you might be paying. So if you're buying one, you make an educated guess, but if you have one, you have the chance to tweak a couple things and maybe get a lower cost of ownership. With all that being said, this is the end of today's video. So if you liked it, smash that like button, it really help out a lot. If you're unsubscribed, go subscribe, and while you're there, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. Right here, I'm gonna leave a link to another video that YouTube will recommend you, and down here, a link so you can subscribe way more easily. And yeah, that's all. So see you next time.